Hello dear students, today we are going to see part 2 of chapter chemical reaction, how far how fast, IGCSE Cambridge, and this is Mayank sir from the New Tulip International School. First, in first part we have seen two different factors that affect the rate of reaction, in which the first was surface area and second was concentration. Now we are moving to see remaining three factors that affect the rate of reaction, in which the third factor is temperature. Why do you think food is stored in refrigerator? That we are storing our food and fruits in refrigerator because the reaction at is that the rate of decay is slower at lower temperature. That means bacteria and fungi will work slowly and slowly at lower temperature. This is a general feature of the majority of chemical processes. Now the reaction between sodium thiosulfate and hydrochloric acid that we have seen in first video can also be used to study the effect of temperature on the rate of reaction. Here one graph is given. You can see that the time required for reaction is less when the temperature is high. That means if you increase the temperature, the rate of reaction will also increase, and time required for the reaction to complete will decrease. So what is happening actually? As the temperature increase, the reactant particle increase their kinetic energy and they move faster, and the faster movement result in more collision between the particles. If particles will do more collision, then the probability of getting more successful collision will increase. So will be successful collision, and this causes the reaction rate to increase. Now the next factor, the fourth one, is light. How light can affect the chemical reaction? That some chemical reaction are affected by light. When particle absorb light energy, the energy can be used to break bonds. That means light is also having energy that can use to break the bonds, overcoming the activation energy. In these reaction, you remember this thing, that the light is providing energy, that energy should be beyond activation energy, then only this reaction will carry out under the energy of light. If the activation energy will not be reached, then reaction won't be carried out. Now the reaction which occur as a result of the absorption of light are known as photochemical reaction. So this is the definition of photochemical reaction, that reaction which occur as a result of the absorption of light. Now the absorption of light in these reaction causes bonds to break, producing reactive particles known as radical, and these radicals are responsible for many more chemical reaction which happen in the stratosphere, that you can see in the example in next slide. See what is happening over here. Because of light, radicals will be formed. These radicals are also known as free radical, and these free radical are highly energized particle. These free radical can generate many more free radicals subsequently. So in stratosphere these reaction is going to happen. For example, ozone depletion. Ozone layer is a protective layer in stratosphere that protect us from ultraviolet radiation. It absorb high energy ultraviolet radiation. If the radiation were to reach the surface of earth, it would lead to an increase in skin cancer. So in 1985, large holes were discovered in the ozone layer over Antarctica. Australia, Europe. So scientists think that these holes have partly been produced by chemicals called chlorofluorocarbons. Now, what are these chlorofluorocarbons? So, chlorofluorocarbons were developed as refrigerant in fridge back 1950s. Okay, and they have also been used in air conditioning system, in aerosol can, and in manufacture of expanded plastics such as polystyrene. So these CFCs are very unreactive molecules. They escape into the atmosphere and because of their inertness remain without further reaction until they reach the stratosphere stratosphere and the ozone layer. In the stratosphere, the high energy ultraviolet radiation causes a chemical bond in the CFC molecules to break. And here the story will start, that because the bond will break, so chlorine free radical will be formed, and these chlorine free radical is highly reactive species. It can react with ozone in the stratosphere and it can divide it into oxygen free radical and oxygen molecule. So ozone will be broken down by this chlorine free radical, and you won't believe one chlorine free radical can break more than 1 lakh molecule of ozone. So one of the worrying thing about this process is that although the above equation indicates that chlorine radical has also been destroyed, and it has been found that it is then regenerated by further reaction. So these can lead to a chain reaction. The free radical formation reaction can lead to a chain reaction, and it can generate other effect also. It has consequently been found that a single chlorine radical is capable of destroying hundreds of thousands of ozone molecules, and this is not the only problem with CFC. They are also significant greenhouse gases. So photosynthesis, again the light in which some reaction we are going to study further. Photosynthesis is very important reaction, okay, which occurs only when sunlight falls on leaves containing green pigment chlorophyll. So this chlorophyll acts as a catalyst, and the rate of photosynthesis depends on the intensity of light. So another chemical reaction takes place only in light is that which occurs in photographic film. So first is photosynthesis, that is a light dependent reaction, and second one is photographic film. Here second example is also taken. This is a transparent plastic strip. It is not the case of today's camera actually. In today camera we have the digital camera, but this was the previously used camera that in which we were using photographic film. So what is photographic film? This is a transparent plastic strip coated with emulsion and a layer of gelatin, throughout which are spread many million of tiny crystals of silver halide. Especially you are using silver bromide here, and the emulsion used is similar for both black and white and color film. When light hits the silver bromide, so what will happen, that silver cations accept an electron from the bromide ion, which are oxidized, hence silver atom and bromine atom are produced in the emulsion, and the more light that falls on the film, the greater the amount of silver deposited. So it will create a picture. If you click the photo, at that fraction of time the light will fall on that photographic film. So the more light that falls on the film, the greater the amount of silver. places where the most silver is deposited are darkest when the negative is developed and lightest on the photographic print. Now the next factor, that is catalyst. So first you will need to learn the term catalyst. So catalyst is a chemical that is not going to take part in the reaction, but it will enhance the rate of reaction. So 90% of industrial processes use catalyst. A catalyst is a substance which can alter the rate of reaction, either increase the rate of reaction or decrease the rate of reaction. That means catalysts are of two types: positive catalyst, negative catalyst. So which can alter the rate of a reaction without being chemically changed itself. In the laboratory, the effect of a catalyst can be observed using the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. Suppose you are decomposing hydrogen peroxide, so it will give you water and oxygen. So rate of decomposition at room temperature is very slow, and there are substances however which will speed up these reactions, one being manganese oxide. So when you are using black manganese oxide powder is added to hydrogen peroxide solution, oxygen is produced rapidly. That means that here manganese oxide powder is working as catalyst. So the rate at which these occurs can be followed by measuring the volume of oxygen gas produced. So you can check the rate of reaction. Remember part 1, that in which reaction the rate of reaction is measured by amount of gas produced, and some sample results from experiment of these type have been plotted in a graph, and at the end of the reaction the manganese oxide can be filtered off and used it again. So it can be used again. Stratosphere and the ozone layer. In the stratosphere, the high energy ultraviolet radiation causes a chemical bond in the CFC molecules to break, and here the story will start, that because the bond will break, so chlorine free radical will be formed, and these chlorine free radical is highly reactive species. It can react with ozone in the stratosphere, and it can divide it into oxygen free radical and oxygen molecule. So ozone will be broken down by this chlorine free radical, and you won't believe one chlorine free radical can break more than 1 lakh molecule of ozone. So here are some example of chemical reaction and the name of catalyst used there. For example, Haber's process. For the manufacturing of ammonia, iron is used. Contact process, manufacturing of sulfuric acid, vanadium pentoxide is used. Oxidation of ammonia to give nitric acid, that is known as Oswald reaction, the platinum is used. And hydrogenation of unsaturated oils, nickel is used. So what is the role of catalyst in the reaction actually? The catalysts are actually lower down the activation energy. If you can see the graph, okay, without catalyst activation energy is high, that means required energy is high, but if you are using catalyst, then required activation energy will be low, and because of that more number of molecules can reach activation energy easily, and because they can reach activation energy easily, more product will be formed in the less amount of time. That means reaction will be faster. So what is happening actually? As the temperature increase, the reactant particle increase their kinetic energy and they move faster. And the faster movement result in more collision between the particles. If particles will do more collision, then the probability of getting more successful collision will increase. So will be successful collision, and this causes the reaction rate to increase. If any doubt, students, you can contact me. This is my number. Thank you very much. Bye bye.